All right. We got week 15 here, and we have TDS, Spotlight Sports, Hammer's House coming together for a massive undertaking here. We're gonna make sure that we get you guys right for your week 15 semifinals matchups. We know that some of you guys didn't make it, and we're sorry about that. And
No, we're not.
there's a FanDuel and DraftKings, so you guys can still partake in championship week festivities. But for the rest of us, like me, we're rolling a couple of teams right now. We're feeling a little good because we had guys like Aaron Jones play. We're feeling a little sad because we went against guys like Josh Allen. But, so far, so good. I think that it's been an interesting week. We've had some guys miss some games for this week, which is going to be interesting, something that we're definitely going to have to cover. What are you looking at going into this week 15, Hammer? What's really caught your eye as you're rocking that Raiders gear after a fantastic Thursday night game?
There we go. Yeah, well, we still have a shot, believe it or not, folks. If we can beat the Dolphins, we can beat the Broncos in these next 2 weeks. We'll actually get in as a 7th seed, believe it or not. So there's still hope for us, Raider Nation. There's still much hope for us.
And you sound so hopeful.
I can't with you. More DFS, like Taco said, he's the champ when it comes to doing fantasy football. And I'm telling you right now, mark my words, it's been like a 2-year hiatus since I've been in the fantasy league. I've done daily fantasy, but I will be getting into some fantasy football leagues next year. And some of y'all better watch out because I know my stuff.
And they already know about me, you know what I mean? In most leagues, they're gonna start calling me King Taco just because
I'm gonna be gunning for you. Keep it up. I'm gonna be gunning for you.
I mean, you could say it, but bro, you ain't Mark Wahlberg, and this ain't Sniper, bro. You ain't hitting me, dog.
I keep telling y'all, I don't miss.
Yeah, I'm the champ for a reason. Baby. But let's get this going for the people. I think the first thing that we got to touch on is one inactive and one active. And the reason why I know it so well is because I'm facing these two players. But this week, big news. First pick for a lot of people. Michael Thomas is out. He's just been put on IR. He's going to be out for at least 3 weeks. That means you're not going to have him for the semifinals. You're not going to have him for the championship. And God forbid you play week 17 championships, you won't have him for that either. The Saints will have him for the playoffs, which is what matters to them in real life. But for us fantasy owners, you gotta move on from Michael Thomas. And one player that's active that originally wasn't active and had tested positive for COVID is Marquis Brown. And a nice primetime matchup. Well, not primetime matchup, but a get-right matchup versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, which has been a horrible secondary. If we've been following Marquis Brown, his last 3 games, he's had a touchdown in each of the games. So he's been putting up some decent numbers. It looks like Lamar Jackson is finally starting to get some rhythm throwing the ball. And I think that's a nice player that if you're able to get him off of your COVID list and throw him into your lineup, he's someone that if you have a chance to get that in, I definitely would be looking at doing that. And another couple of guys off the top of my head that I'm thinking about, we're waiting to see what's coming down in Miami. Miami has a few players right now that are showing inactive or that are trying to be active for the game. We're looking at guys like Myles Gaskin. Last week, he tested positive for COVID. Based on that timeline, more than likely he's not going to be active for this game. Salvin Ahmed came back to practice this week. He got limited practices in. I didn't see any reports talking about how well he performed or what was going on in the practices, like how they were using him. But if he's back, more than likely he's going to be the lead running back in Miami. Washington is someone that I probably would stay away from in this matchup. Last week he was okay, but then again there was no Breida, there was no other guy, no Gaskins, no Ahmed, so he had a lot more opportunity. This week the Dolphins are playing. I forgot who the Dolphins play this week. I think
Dolphins got New England.
So that's not the best matchup. So it'll be interesting to see. I know Devontae Parker is trying to work his way into the lineup this week. He's been having some hamstring injuries. One player that we're looking at there is Lynn Bowden Jr. So because let's just say Grant is out and you're looking at Parker being limited. Last 2 weeks, Lynn Bowden Jr. has been running the most routes to the Dolphins. So if we're looking at getting points are predicated to being on the field and opportunities. So the opportunity would be there's no Grant. Gesicki's going to possibly be limited with the arm injury. You're missing Myles Gaskin, and now there's an opportunity for this guy who last last week did pretty decent and ran the most targets for any wide receiver that they had. Someone that if you're in desperation, he's someone that I would look at. You know what I mean?
Former Raider.
Yeah.
We drafted him and got rid of him real quick. Apparently he couldn't read the playbook. So.
Yep. I think I can speak for all fantasy football players who had the chance to own the number 2 tight end in the league this year. Waller the baller finally showed up. Can we get an amen, guys? The Raiders finally did something right. They had Mariota come in for an ailing Carr, and Carr did not use Waller the way that Mariota did. Mariota was like, where's Waller? Let me get him the ball. That first touchdown, thing of beauty. Later on, he's hitting him on blitzes, making the hot read. I think for all of us, we're hoping Carr is out next week. We want more Mariota.
Oh, God, don't do that. Unless... and this is coming from a non-Raider fan saying this stuff. Like, don't start the controversy.
I'm just saying,
start the controversy. Carr will be out. As of right now, Carr will be out for the next 2 weeks with the groin injury. So let's just put it out there now.
Hopefully, we never see Carr in a Raiders uniform again.
Stop it. That's not happening.
Mr. Turnover? Mr. Turnover.
Stop it.
He's like Daniel Jones, only without the speed.
He led this team throughout the entire season, bro. Like,
led you to a non-playoff spot.
Oh, so now you sound like these bandwagon Raider fans. I don't even want to say what I really want to say, but y'all constantly hate on Carr, talk all this shit. He can't win a whole game by himself. The defenses are the main culprit to why we have been on this slide lately. The reason why we are all in these tight games week in, week out. So don't do that with Carr, because Carr this season was in the top 10 for quarterbacks in the league.
Here's my question. How many games did Carr outplay what Mariota did last week?
One game. It was one game.
In that one game, he looked so much better than Carr.
Carr threw for almost 400 yards a couple of weeks ago with three passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown.
And Carr got rocked by the Falcons. The Falcons.
And again, whose fault is that?
Oh my God! How many?
Everything's on him.
Who has more fumbles this year, Danny Dimes or Derek Carr?
I played the fifth. We ain't doing this shit.
So that's what I'm saying. Carr's a walking turnover.
Oh my God. Okay.
Can't wait for Mariota.
Moving on.
Josh Jacobs, though, he finally showed up, thankfully, for some people.
Yeah, fuck Miles Sanders.
Yeah, man, listen, that whole situation in Philly deteriorated fast.
So just give me a bottle anyways.
Listen, bro, Jacobs.
I need one now.
Jacobs has been something, to not really be hyped about. Like Jacobs, I'll be honest, he's had some good games. He's had some bad games. I guess that's the course of the season. But, like, shit, man, it gets real interesting real fast.
He's almost at 1,000 yards for the season.
Yep.
I know the regular season's almost over, but he's almost eclipsing 1,000 yards. So gotta give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I mean, how many yards per game is that he's averaging? When we give him this credit, I should know.
Probably a little under 100.
No, way less than that. He has 907 yards in 14 weeks,
and he missed a game too.
He missed one game all season, so he's 14 games.
Yep.
So let's take a look at this. Let's calculator real quick. And again, guys, if you have any start-sit questions about this week's matchups, your lineups, or anything like that, feel free to drop it in the chat, or well, that's the only way you guys can actually contact us. So I was gonna say, give us a call, but we don't have that set up yet.
Not yet. It's coming soon, though.
Well, I've seen these Knicks fan TV episodes. Yeah, y'all popping out there. Y'all got the open phone lines and shit for people.
Well, Raider J does it when we do our reactions and post games. So I'm probably gonna start doing it soon as well. When I know the regular season's almost over, but when we start doing other content, I'm definitely gonna have a little call in line. Feel pretty awesome doing that.
And for the record, Jacobs is averaging 64 yards per game. Amazing. That's what you call balling out of control.
I fucking can't with you. It's too, it is too early, and we're not even playing today. We played Thursday, so just move on. Let's talk about something else because you're already killing me.
Well, you know, as they say, Jesus, take the wheel.
Jesus Christ.
No, friends, this is not a comedy hour. This is fantasy football.
So anyways, yeah, like I'm waiting for you guys to come on in and ask your fantasy questions, but like we really can't even get into actives and inactives truly until about 11:30 because that's when the NFL and most teams start releasing their stuff before the 1:00 games, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I would like to talk about right now is an alert that I got from ESPN at about 8:30 this morning in regards to the Philadelphia Eagles. We are already starting to see quarterback controversy as Carson Wentz stated that he would like to move on from the Eagles if Jalen Hurts remains the starter. This is you kind of did it to yourself, buddy. I've been saying it for the last few years now. Carson Wentz is overrated. Dude got $30 million a year for what? He got a Super Bowl ring, but who got them to that Super Bowl? Like, and now we're gonna throw a fit because I'm not a backup quarterback, not yet. Your productivity says otherwise, man. So man up. Why don't you just finish out this contract at least before we start complaining and take our ball and run away with it? Because probably the most childish thing I've heard. Well, I've only been up 2 hours, but it's the most childish crap I've heard so far today.
I'll say this. Carson Wentz really didn't have a great shot this season. Between all his wide receivers being injured, it just being a nasty situation. Peterson looks like he's lost this year. It's not the same mojo that it had, you know, especially once they lost their old offensive coordinator. But I mean, honestly, I think the biggest question is I don't think Carson Wentz is not a top 30 quarterback. I mean, if you ask me, he's like, okay, this is a perfect question, not to go back to this team, but who would you rather have? Derek Carr or Carson Wentz? Because I can see John Gruden making the trade for Carson Wentz because he would fit the way he wants to play. He can get the ball downfield. He can run when he wants to. He's a big quarterback. I mean, I do see Gruden, if there's an opportunity to make a play for him, I can see Gruden saying, we'll take the money. We'll give you like maybe a 3rd round pick and
trade Carr and make Carr back up to Jalen Hurts. No,
Carr's probably just cut, or his contract's expiring soon, right?
I'm not cutting him, bro. He's got another 2 years on that contract. If they cut anybody, it most likely may be Mariota. He's making less on the deal right now.
Exactly, he's making less on the deal. How much dead cap would you have with a guy like Carr? Because I just don't see him coming back with the way Gruden.
He's owed like another $40-something million. But Trey, what's up, bro? Hope all is well. You're asking the Colts D against Houston or Washington's D versus Seattle. I'm definitely taking the Colts over Houston. No questions asked right now.
I think that's a tough one because Washington's defense has been playing really good.
They absolutely have. But against a high-powered offense in Seattle with Russell Wilson,
the Giants just shut down Seattle.
That was weeks ago, bro.
That was like 2 weeks ago.
Exactly, weeks ago.
I say that's an interesting matchup because Watson has been hot other than last week. And the last time the Colts faced Houston, Kiki Cutie went off for 141 yards versus that Colts defense. And
he had a decent game. If I'm not mistaken, last week he was active. I think he had a pretty decent week. Kute.
Cutie last week was not great. He had 3 catches, like 17 yards and a touchdown, if I remember correctly.
Why do I feel like it was better than that?
The week before that versus the Colts, I believe, is when he went for 141.
That's what it was.
That's why when I'm saying like versus the Colts defense, look, the way Kiki plays, he's in the last 3 games that he's played versus the Colts, he's had good numbers. So I'm just not sold on that Colts defense right now. I know they've been dealing with some injuries, if I remember correctly. I think that's a real toss-up. And with Haskins being out, getting a lot of 3 and outs.
Hold on. Shades is asking about these running backs.
Hold on, but Trey made a good point, and we could just finish with him first.
Yeah.
He said Haskins will be starting and getting a lot of 3 and outs, and Washington's defense might get tired. I think that's a really great point, and I think that it's really a true toss up between the two of them. I think the Washington defense is a better defensive unit, but the Colts defense is a better matchup. The problem is Watson can get hot at any time, just like Russell. So I mean, you're playing with fire either way. I think
he's been a little up and down, at least since O'Brien was fired. Like he was showing.
No, Watson's been hot.
No. He was showing signs of how well he played, how well he performed last season for a good couple of games.
Yep.
But again, against this Colts defense, I'm iffy in regards to Houston. I really think that the Colts will shut it down today.
I think that's a situation where I would probably lean to the Colts, but I'd say don't expect a huge game. I do think Watson's going to ball out on them.
Shades, in regards to your question, as of right now, and this could change within the next 2 hours, Zeke is questionable. I would have said to go with him over Mostert and David Johnson, but right now you're pretty much going to have to wait at least until they come out with the actives inactives report. But right now, if I were to pick somebody, I would go with Zeke today, most definitely.
Yeah. The thing about Zeke here that we have to also factor in is that he's been on that report now for pretty much like I think the last 3 weeks. He's been like, we don't know if he's going to play, and then he plays. So he's been playing. I expect him to play. But the biggest question is going to be what kind of production are you going to get out of him, because he hasn't been the most productive
since Dak went down.
Even still, like you would expect even more, even without Dak. So it's just weird how that system's been working. And if you look at it, Troy Pollard has been performing almost as good, or has looked just as good to the eye as him. Raheem Mostert does have a layup matchup this week versus the Dallas Cowboys. We don't expect them to do much. The problem is Mostert last week left with an injury, and we don't know what's going on. He was removed from the injury report, so he's fully healthy. We know that he's a big boom guy. In some of the last games that he's played, he scored 17 points versus Washington, 14 carries, 65 yards. Well, that's probably a little bit different, but he had 14 carries, 65 yards. Week before that, 9 carries, 42 yards, 16 for 43. I think it's not a terrible matchup. I think you wouldn't be crazy for going with Mostert. The question is, how much do you trust Zeke?
Actually, I wouldn't fully trust Mostert right now either, especially with what you said in regards to last week. There's a chance, and don't quote me on this, guys. I'm looking at things right now, and they're looking as a start of the week for running backs is Jeff Wilson Jr. for the Niners.
Yeah,
so that might be someone you want to consider. And again, wait to see.
That is just that we don't know, because Mostert was taken off of the final injury report. So when we look at that's going to be crazy, because he may be the sleeper because Mostert was being evaluated for concussion. But if Mostert is back, he's going to be the lead back.
But he also might be on a snap count as well.
But that's
take that into consideration.
I don't think Zeke is not going to be on a snap count.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like
to me, if you're telling me Zeke on a snap count versus Mostert on a snap count, and Zeke is facing the 49ers and Mostert is facing the Cowboys, that Cowboys defense is probably the look at what Gibson did versus the Cowboys defense. So that's why to me it's kind of hard for me to say bench Mostert if he's healthy, because Mostert probably has the best matchup out of all those guys. Right. David Johnson's facing the Colts, Zeke's facing the 49ers, and Mostert's facing the Cowboys.
You gotta wait and see how this goes. Like I said, just keep checking your phone if you can up until 11:30 when they release exactly who the actives and actives are, at least for the 1:00 games, just so you don't make any mistakes or have any. I don't know if this is a fantasy league or daily fantasy. I'm assuming it's daily fantasy. It's a fantasy league, and I know you're trying to win big, so just keep an eye out on it for the next hour and a half, 2 hours. All right, buddy?
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely one of the ones that can keep you up at night debating on who you want to start there. So that's definitely something that it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially I think in a game where Dallas is not going to be able to do much, in my opinion. I think that 49ers can go up early and it'll just be a salt away game. So I am a little worried about Zeke this week.
Like I'm looking now at like players that you're gonna want to start today, like in regards to their grades and everything. And Jeff Wilson right now is ranked at a C as a start.
Yeah.
Where did I see Zeke? Zeke is a C plus. He's a strong start right now. So
C plus C though, we're talking about virtually the same. Where do they have Mostart? Or do they still have Mostart as not playing? Because that'll also affect their
I'm looking through this right now.
Mhm.
Damn, even Lynn Bowden's up here as a flex at the running
Yeah,
back.
well, that's because, like I was saying, so many of the receivers are out for the Dolphins, and he's been running most of the routes, so it's just setting him up in a position to be, the main guy.
I'm looking through this right now, and I know I'm not blind because I'm looking at this on the 40-inch. I'm not seeing Mostert's name on here right now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That was probably before they found out that Mostart's going to play this week, because it looked like Mostart was not going to play at the start or at the end of last week, and the way everything went down. So I do think that we have to reevaluate where they have Jeff Wilson, because Mostart is going to be healthy and active this week. I really do think that position for Wilson is more based on, like they're showing Mostart not playing because he's not even in that list. I mean, that's just based off, what I'm hearing here and what you're telling me. But I think if we look at what Zeke's done over his last couple of games since he's been dealing with this calf injury, last week versus Cincinnati, and what most people expected to be a get-right game, he had 12 carries for 48 yards.
I think there was somebody that had asked last week about starting Zeke, and I said I wouldn't take that chance. And I told him to sit him.
That's the thing. That's versus Cincinnati.
Yeah, and so I said to sit him.
How could you start him this week versus the 49ers?
Yeah.
So I think, again, this sets up where if Mostart's healthy, I think he might be the guy you have to go with, just because at this point in time, he's showing the home run capability, and he's probably on the team that's going to more than likely get the win and be able to pace the game. So I think that would be the way that I would more than likely go.
Gotcha.
Yep. And another player to keep an eye out for is Ronald Jones is Ronald Jones should be okay. So far, Ronald Jones looks like he's not going to play this week, so that sets up an interesting matchup to see who's going to be the lead back for the Bucs. We assume that it's going to be Fournette, but if we look at last week, Fournette was inactive, and they ran with Jones as the one and McCoy and Vaughn behind him. So I don't really know how that's going to shake out, if they're going to use Shady or if they're going to use Vaughn, or how maybe they go to a three-man backfield. But if Fournette wasn't active in the last game, and now he's coming back in this game, it's hard to expect him to be the starter.
I think it's gonna, if Jones is out, I think it's gonna be McCoy. And the funny thing is, like, I'm looking at fantasypros.com right now. Shout out to those guys with all their data and information. They have Lashawn McCoy as a deep league stream of the week right now, and he's only rostered in 3% of the leagues. So if you're in desperate need this weekend for a running back and think that he's going to be able to produce, I would consider him, but I wouldn't consider him as an RB1, as an RB2, maybe a potential flex.
And again, to me, it's like between an RB2 and a flex, I think it really just depends on who's on your roster. In a lot of cases, like for me, like I went heavy wide receivers, so my wide receiver position is pretty stacked. So I put them into flexes. But as an RB2, I might roll with a Lashawn McCoy, because that is technically what a flex would be on my team type situation. So again, it just really depends on who you have active, what you're looking for. In his last game, though, versus Minnesota, he had 4 carries for 32 yards. Before that, he didn't have a single rushing attempt since week 6. So from week 6 all the way to week 14, he didn't have any attempts. In week 14, he comes in 4 carries for 32 yards. So very much temper your expectations with McCoy. I know they have him as a streaming start, but this is what you call a definition of a wild card. I would probably feel more at ease with one of the receivers that we're seeing from the Colts. I mean, not from the Colts, from the Texans, Chad Hanson. Chad Hanson's owned in roughly about 2% of leagues. But if you look at him over his last couple of games, in the last game that he had versus Indiana, he had 7 targets with 5 catches for 101 yards. And his last game versus Chicago, he had 7 catches for 56 yards. I think this sets him up for a decent game versus the Colts, where he should be able to at least probably get you about 5 catches and about 50 yards in this matchup, where you're looking at guys like Cooks and Kiki. They may be projected as the top guys, but this guy's been playing really well and has been a really good pass catcher for Hanson. So especially in PPR leagues, I would probably take the gamble on a guy like Hanson over a guy like McCoy, just because I feel like Hanson would get more work. And if you look at over his last 2 games, 12.6 points, 9.1 points, he's been a little bit more solid than McCoy, who again has a decent matchup. And if he gets the carries, could be in line for a decent day. But again, that is a risk. Again, he could blow, he could not. That's one of the ones that's on tilt. That's on
Pause.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I just saw the challenge flag come out. No, I'm joking.
Hey, what can I say? He went to the top.
Bop. Said Hanson like 2 or 3 times. It took everything in me not to do it, but bop.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm mad that I dropped him in one league. I tried to make a couple of plays just to keep my opponent from getting a quarterback because he had Taysom Hill, and I was just like, well, fuck that. I gotta try to do the best I can and try to dodge and dink, make sure I make it to the finals. But I'm kind of regretting not having him on my team because I do think Hanson could have a pretty good game this week.
And ladies and gentlemen, for the New Orleans Saints, we were having this conversation yesterday. Drew Brees is back.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is too early or not, but I really hope that they have he's gonna probably have a flag jacket on. I would have had some triple coated freaking plates that could take a hit from an AK if I'm playing today, because I would be very, very hesitant to have him start today and start so early. For anybody that has him, it's a risk. It's a high risk. So if you have a quarterback that might be able to fill in that spot, try to start him. I'm very nervous about Drew Brees today, though, and I really hope that he's well protected in that pocket and walks away healthy or not banged up, or the ribs are worse than they already were come the end of this game today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And the question is going to be really to see how he performs without Michael Thomas, because Michael Thomas has been starting to really play well, show off, and now he's not going to be there for the guys. So I think it's just going to be really interesting for me to see how the team plays without Michael Thomas, how they're playing with Brees coming back, and if they can move this ball and get some points. Because let's face it, if you're not scoring this week, you're going to be in trouble, because this Kansas City offense is really really top notch.
Definitely. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Trying to see if I'm getting any other updates right now. No, just the whole thing with Wentz, which I'm just this is comedy for you Philly fans.
Yep. Wait till he's with Oakland.
He ain't coming to Oakland. Shut your whole mouth right now. It ain't happening.
He just seems like he's one of Gruden's guys. He's a Gruden grinder, as they say.
No.
Gruden grinder. Let's get it.
Yo, I'm telling you right now, if Gruden is still stuck in the old school offense.
The offense was moving though.
It was no, but you know what? It was moving. And funny enough, going into last week, I said that he needs to adjust the offense and the schemes a little bit. Throw in some RPO, throw in some read option. He doesn't really run the read option with Carr. He almost never ran the read option with Carr. All of a sudden, Mariota's in. Now all of a sudden, you want to start doing it. I get that Carr had that ankle injury a few years ago, but there were a couple times where he broke out for a couple of runs this year that he was fine, and other times not so much with the fumbles. But
maybe because of all those fumbles and the way Carr's been playing, he just didn't feel confident in putting him in that situation, knowing that ball security is a big issue for Carr.
I guess so.
He almost averaged, a little less than a fumble a game.
Yeah.
He's on Daniel Jones territory.
Trust me. It was definitely aggravating the hell out of me, and I said my piece on it, but I'm not going to be one of those one of those people that are just gonna rip him to shreds. Like the losses and stuff, you can't hold him accountable for everything.
No,
He's
you
not
can't
he's
do it
not
all.
playing he's not playing both sides of the ball, and everybody right away, oh, it's Carr's fault. Get rid of Carr. Carr's trash. Blah blah blah. Like
Say this,
stop.
though.
Stop.
I'll say this though. Carr doesn't make his guys look better. Carr doesn't sit there and make you say like, "Wow, that's the guy." No, Carr sits there and he's a good game manager.
He's a good game manager, but because he plays, he does
efficient.
what he plays efficient, but he does what Gruden tells him to do. Let's be real here. He's not much of a fan of the checkdowns and stuff. From what I understand, Gruden's not a fan of the checkdowns when it comes to his offense, which is ridiculous because you're supposed to make adjustments.
Right. But I also think that now it's been, a decent stretch that we've had to see of Carr, and it's been since 2017 that he's had that MVP type season, and since then I don't think he's really had I would say a top 12 quarterback season. He's not
because he hasn't had legit weapons. And I dare you to tell me, oh, he had Williams last year. No, hell no. I didn't even want that dude from the Chargers.
Let's be real. Last year they went and brought Brown in and that turned sideways. So they tried to get him someone and that went south. They tried.
Delusional Tanner, Breeze, or Kyler.
In a 4-point per touchdown league, I would probably lead toward Kyler because he does get the rushing upside. Although we do know that Kyler last couple of weeks has been a little bit scary as far as his point production goes. His last 3 games, he's definitely faded off. In his last game, he threw 1 touchdown versus the Giants, 24 completions, 244 yards. He did do some decent running again for the first time in the last couple of weeks, which helped his points. I just don't know what to expect with Breeze, and Kyler Murray in most cases is one of the top 3 players in the league for fantasy football so far. So even though he's been sliding, I think you still got to roll with Murray.
I do expect to see a great game between these quarterbacks, and I'm talking about Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts today. I think that game is going to be a shootout. Yeah. I definitely do, especially with what Hurts did with his feet last week as well. It's going to be a very, very interesting matchup, and that game is on at 4:00, so I will definitely be glued into that today. I'm definitely excited for that game.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting, too, because if you do see a guy like Hurts ball out versus the Cardinals and start putting the Eagles back into a position to try to make the playoffs, I think it does open up more possibilities for Carson Wentz and being traded.
Hurts is a product of what? He came out of...
He bounced around a couple of schools. I believe that he was with...
was he with Bama and then
Alabama to start off?
And then he finished in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, I know he transferred out. I think it was Alabama. He was in Alabama and he transferred out because they had Tua and they had a couple of other guys, so that really set it up. Big hole. Yeah, Josh Allen murdered me in my other league too.
You know what? I kind of, and I hate to say it, but I kind of saw it coming. I definitely felt that they were going to beat the brakes off of him. And I watched a little bit of the game yesterday afternoon. And I was like, I thought about it the day before. I'm like, hey, if I want to do a DFS, I'm looking at the 2 matchups and I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to start Josh Allen. I was like, I want to start Cole Beasley. And then I'm thinking about on the Packers side too. I was like, yo, I should put Jones in. But of course, every time I think about it, I don't act on it. And that's what always kicks me in the ass where I can win some money.
Yep. That's why I usually play, especially on these days, I play at least a $4 one just to punch my lottery ticket. But so you have so I have a few more. Sure, no problem. Delusional. So you have half point PPR, Monty or Taylor. Both of them have been hot, man. Both Montgomery and Taylor have been hot.
Especially Taylor, man.
Yeah, Montgomery too. Montgomery last week went off. He had an 80-yard touchdown run.
That's right.
So, Montgomery too. Both of these guys have been, I want to say, playing above their heads or playing more to what most people had hoped they would play to at the start of the season. In his last 3 games for Montgomery, 11 carries for 103 yards, 17 carries for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns, and 11 carries for 113 yards and a touchdown. I think that it's almost impossible for you to bench him, seeing how bad the quarterback position is in Chicago. They lean on the run. They need the run. So I don't think it's easy to bench him. Jonathan Taylor's been on fire as well. I think you got to start both. And I would say if you have to pick between Emmanuel Sanders and Russell Gage, I definitely go with Sanders over Gage, and you have to go with one because you have Chubb and Henry. Okay, Chubb this week I am a little bit scared about, but I do think you can't bench him. Well, it's just the Giants defense. I don't know exactly how well it's going to work out. It could be a hit, it could be a miss. I definitely think you have to start Chubb, though. You have to start Henry. If you had to pick between the two, I would go towards Taylor, but it's by a sliver. So it's one of those ones where you're going to be watching all game and you might be hitting yourself because it's like you were so close to putting the other one and the other ones that did it. So it's a tough one, but I would definitely go probably Taylor just because I think he has bigger upside. And then I'm definitely going Gage. I'm definitely going Sanders over Gage with no Thomas, just because he should with Drew Brees get maybe 10 catches because that's what Drew Brees does, slants to the slot.
Yep.
So I definitely pick the Sanders game.
Definitely. That should definitely be a good pick today. And I definitely wish you the best of luck with that, Mr. Tanner.
Yeah, man. Beating Josh Allen is going to be something that we do together, bro, because I'm taking him down. I'm taking Josh Allen down, bro. I don't give a fuck. I got Mahomes rolling. I got Woods going.
Oh, you're rolling with Mahomes?
I'm rolling with my homies. I already lost Saquon Barkley and I lost Mixon. The fact that I'm even in the semifinals is crazy. I got your boy Ayuk ready to blow up. And then
man. I'll tell you one thing. I had a dude at work that's a diehard Niners fan and is so high on Debo. Bro, what happened?
Debo's injury.
What happened?
Debo's injury prone. That's the issue.
This entire season, bro.
Every
he
time
was so high on him. I'm like, you high on something else because he ain't doing it this year.
And every time he plays, because the thing about him, he's DK Metcalf with way more injuries. That's what he is. Because DK Metcalf, when he came in, he's a big physical guy with insane speed. That's what
I think Debo's just speed. He ain't a specimen like Metcalf is.
Okay. He's one grade below Metcalf as far as specimen goes.
Fair enough.
They're about there. He's basically if you ask me, Debo's like a glorified running back. He's not someone that you see running the routes that Ayuk has been running. And I think that's why Ayuk has really rolled into a wide receiver one situation. Oh man!
Hold on, I want to put this up. I'm trying to get over to that screen. Damn it! This is why I hate
my wide receivers are suspect. Oh, draft! Oh my God, Galladay was one of the ones that really hurt. I drafted Le'Veon Bell in one of my leagues as my third pick. That killed me.
The fact that it's against your dad just is this just made my day. This is hands down one of the coolest. As long as I've been messing around with fantasy sports and stuff, I've never seen this. So this just made my day. This is totally awesome that you are playing fantasy football with your father. That is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. One
of the worst things though that I always see is when spouses play off. That's oh my God. Last year in one of the semifinals, we had spouses a couple facing off versus each other. And I was just like, damn, I would hate to be in that house for the week. Cause oh, you're not getting any tonight because you beat me yesterday. Cause I'd be talking so much smack.
Damn, bro, you got beat the wrong way. Sorry.
Yeah, we'd meet at the coffee pot and I'd be talking my shit. I'd be like, yo, babe, I'm about to railroad your whole team. Like, what up, though? And then if I lose, I'm gonna sleep on the couch on my own. I'd be like, nah, I can't sleep next to you tonight, hon.
I got the dub. Bye.
Yeah, like for real. You really had to beat me though in my league. Like,
I would that. Lesson 101 when it comes to fantasy sports: never put your spouse in the same league. Just saying.
Yes. I wouldn't even want to share a team either because then it's like, oh, you always have to go your way. This is just like No, we don't open those can of worms. Got to keep as much emotional attachment out of the game, and that's how we win.
Remember, guys, a happy spouse is a happy house.
Yep. In order for you to stay happy, you got to make sure she ain't in the league, though.
Yes. All right, guys, we're going to roll on out. I will be back on at 11 o'clock with the rest of the crew from Spotlight doing our kickoff show and a breakdown of the Week 15 matchups and our predictions. So make sure to come on in.
Yep. And what I'm going to be doing at around 11:30ish, I'm going to be doing another start sit on my page, the Daily Sporting. We're going to be covering the rest of the inactive actives. Like he said, there's a lot of people that are going to be coming down around 11:30ish. So we'll have that information. I'll go into some daily fantasy players that I'm looking at, and I'll be answering additional start sit questions that anyone may have. So definitely give us a check out. We're on YouTube at the Daily Sporting. You can always check us out at Twitter, Daily Sporting for you. That's number 4 and you. And you know, just don't be afraid to ask us questions because we're here to help.
Absolutely.
And then, what was that last one by Delusional? I have no interest being in the quarters in this league. I know what you mean. It's a big money league. Henry carried me there. My 3 wide receiver. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, but I'll be honest with you though. AJ Brown is someone that I'm starting in my league as my final flex.
Freaking loving that dude right now. I really am.
Who, AJ Brown?
Yeah.
No.
He's just started to he's like, and I think it's more this season. He's just started to become like one of my favorite receivers in the league.
I think last year he started to really blow up. This season he's had some games, but he's been dealing with a little injury lately.
Yeah, but I also know his receivers coach. His receivers coach is actually family, so maybe that's another reason I'm taking. Yeah, so maybe that's another reason I'm taking a liking to him.
Yeah, well, him and Metcalf are like almost like the same player in my.
Yeah,
they're almost the same player. So.
Guys, for those that are in here and those that are viewing right now, please subscribe to the channels, especially the new channel that's been up for at least 2 weeks now, Hammer's House. I'm putting up content as much as I possibly can, and the support means a lot. Make sure to support TDS. This is where it all started for me, and I definitely thank Taco immensely for hearing me on ESPN radio so much and was like, you know your shit to not be putting this to use, so we need to do something with this. And much love. This is my brother from another mother. Hometown, my hometown homie for life. Freeport all day. Red and white for life. But we're gonna roll on out. And guys, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, because we're only 5 days away right now. So I want to wish everybody, you and your families, a Merry Christmas. I know times are tough right now still. Guys, please continue to maintain social distance. Please don't have any holiday parties, none of that crap in your house or out and about this week. I know there's a vaccine out there now, but we want you guys to continue to stay safe so we can return to normalcy, hopefully within the next few months. So like I always say, as I roll out, make sure to wash your hands and your asses. We're out.
Peace.